Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. Thank you for keeping it locked on Uganda Broadcasting Television. I'm Olive Monica Najima, and the gentlemen today are in Studio B. They will be joining me up from there. But now, according to news that has been circulating over the last few hours, the Non-Governmental Organization Bureau, that is the NGO Bureau, has now been taken over by the Internal Affairs Ministry as part of the ongoing rationalization process by the government. And now over 42 staff that were in the NGO Bureau, 30 of them have lost their jobs, since only 12 have been retained. And now the NGO Bureau is a department with a ministry, and it is being headed by a commissioner. This is what the rationalization process is causing. Unfortunately, yes, the government was trying to cut costs, and in so doing that, they decided that some government departments and agencies had to now be taken over by mother ministries. Unfortunately, that means that some people would have to lose their jobs. But when we look at this in a bigger picture, bigger perspective, it means the government will be saving some money in some instances, because there has been roles that have been being done in different organizations, in different agencies, yet they are the same. Basically, we've been having a photocopy of roles, so to speak, in different and departments. I believe that those that have lost their jobs are really in a sad situation, but we can always look to the better and bigger picture, and also devise different ways of enabling ourselves to stay afloat. Speaking of staying afloat, let me see if Jerome Paul Sonko is staying afloat. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Olive, and good morning to our dear viewer. Interesting developments coming in there from the mergers in the country, and also looking into the other government agencies that are also likely to be merged to their mother ministries. But that said, today is the 8th of October, and interestingly, it is a day, or it is the same day that we look at as the eve of the independence celebrations here in Uganda. It was on such a day, on the 8th of October in 1962, that the Ugandans were warming up for full independence the following. But also, it being the 8th of October, in 1995, on a day like this one, is when the Constitution of 1995 was promulgated. Yes, and being promulgated is more like it was publicly announced to the Ugandans that it's now taking effect fully, according to the archives of Parliament and what the history writes about Uganda. And subsequently, the Interim Electoral Commission then organized the first elections, that is following the Liberation War that had ended in 1986. Now, 10 years later, we had the elections in May of 1996, which were then won by the current President Yoweri Museveni. But that said, here we are. And in other developments yesterday, the members of the FDC party have continuously come out to oppose the bill that was tabled by the honorable member, that is Richard Lumu. And that bill seeks to vote the leader of opposition by the opposition parties. And the FDC party members, some of the FDC party members believe that this is a manipulation tactic that they will not be falling into as victims. So they are not willing to accept this particular bill, saying that it does look like it will be used to manipulate the opposition and also further weaken the opposition. So it seems the opposition are opposing the same bill by a member who also belongs to the opposition. But nonetheless, here we are.
Oh, well, Jerome, thank you so much, first of all, taking us through some bit of history regarding Uganda's independence. Today is the day when we will be 62 years as an independent nation. But then when you look at historians, they say, first of all, we had our independence before foreigners came in and told us what to do or how to run our home affairs. Regardless, we were a protectorate during British rule, and now we are a republic. And that's no small feat. A lot was done. Battles were fought, both in the boardrooms, and of course, many words were exchanged. And at the end of the day, Uganda was declared a republic. So tomorrow, we'll be celebrating that day. And today, tomorrow, we'll be having conversations surrounding independence, how far we've come, what we have achieved as a nation, and where are we going. That's very important, because the reason we are standing here today as a nation is because someone hoped and believed that we would be in a better place today. So where are we going to be tomorrow, and what conversations will Ugandans be having in the next 10, 20, 30 years and our nation? Good morning, Robert.
A lovely morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
How is the boredom treating you?
I'm not bored.
Usually full of smiles with Sonko next to you.
Hey.
And,
What are you saying?
very
What are you
happy.
saying?
Now this time that you're lonely, I'm here with him. I don't know how you're feeling.
That's why you have a lot of energy.
Yes, because I love seeing Monica in that mood.
There are times when Sonko,
So today,
when it is too much,
feel it. But it's just temporary. I'll bring him back to you.
All right.
Yeah, he's just today warming the big man.
Okay.
Otherwise, good morning, our viewer. Thank you so very much for waking up with us this lovely day. When at midnight is another day, not so?
Yes.
Today at midnight, if I use that, but a day starts at midnight, at Koro Ceremonial Grounds, 62 years back, the Union Jack, which was a sign of Uganda being a British protectorate, went down, and guess what was coming up? Uganda's, for the very first time, rose up, and the national anthem was played. And we all said, we welcomed our independence. But yesterday I was watching and looking through the archives of UBC, just to equip myself with more information on what happened on independence. I wasn't there by then, so I wanted to have a better feel of it. Now, there is somewhere I felt disturbed. When Dr. Milton Obote was receiving the instruments of power, he said he swore allegiance to the Queen of England and the Prince. Do you know what that means? You're gaining independence, but you're swearing allegiance to the Queen and the predecessors of her throne. If you look at that clip, UBC has it. And disturbed me. We were getting independent. But then why were we swearing allegiance to the Queen and predecessors of her throne?
Well, that allegiance, Robert, is why we are still part of the Commonwealth. If memory serves me right, countries under the Commonwealth are the countries that were once colonized by the British. And at the start, when we just gotten our independences across Africa, this also meant that we would still working in conjunction with them. They would be helping us here and there in an effort to develop our countries.
And that has continued till today.
With neocolonialism.
With neocolonialism.
Yes.
So there is what we have to celebrate, but we also must understand and accept that we are still somehow under, I don't want to use, the way a hen, if it has chicks, under the wings of the big hen at the end of the day. But we are striving, and we hope that one day, totally, we will be.
And through the leadership of the men that lead our countries, and for case in point in Uganda, the gentleman that has ruled this nation for the last 38 years, I believe he carries the vision of Uganda. And of course, he's no stranger to telling off former colonialists about them not interfering with the affairs of independent African nations.
And we are still struggling for a seat on the UN Security Council.
Imagine that.
We had that in NAM, in the G77, and recently also the big conference that was there, still we made our plea. Can we be part of that? And we are not, it's not for Uganda alone.
It's for African countries.
It's for African countries.
Yes.
We are still there. But all said and done, at least we received instruments of power. We have our flag, we have symbols of an independent state. Yes.
All right. And now, Robert, I would like to know what you have for us in the news.
Well, this morning, let me begin with preparations for tomorrow, where for years, this is what Ugandans have been witnessing, from salutes with guns tightened to the parade marchers west to one where it ends to end with the chest. From the goose march, where the soldiers are sharply pointed mark, to one where it is pointed to the sky with the gun next to the chest. This has often been viewed in both slow and quick march past. Such is what has often identified Uganda People's Defense Forces, the police force, prisons and other armed forces as unique, disciplined and smart. This kind of arrangement is becoming a thing for the past. Armed forces led by the UPDF have introduced a new parade formation as Uganda celebrates 60 years of independence. As soon as the parade guards and the band from up, they are marched into the parade grounds. As the rehearsals commence, one of the most visible things here is the change from the usual SAR parade gun with sharp pointed bayonets to the new improved AK-47. The swinging of hands, as has been the case with the previous parades, has been minimized in this new formation. This is not all. The goose march with legs in the sky has equally been changed. It will begin from formation to dressing to the march past, all the way to the salutes. The Ministry of Internal Affairs has officially taken over the functions of the non-governmental organizations, that is NGO Bureau, following the recent Rationalization Act passed by Parliament. Out of the original 42 staff members, only 12 have been retained, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs has dissolved the non-government organization Bureau as part of a rationalization move. At least 30 former employees of the Bureau have lost jobs following internal interviews conducted by the Ministry of Public Service. The Bureau is now a department in the Ministry of Internal Affairs headed by a senior commissioner. In the meantime, police have updated on the murder of the fuel station employee whose body was dumped along the northern bypass. Meanwhile, traffic police have intensified operations against border riders to address road crashes caused by reckless riding. Women leaders from different sectors of government, members of parliament, civil society converged at Speak Resort Munyonyo to participate in this year's 9th Women Forum of the 26th National Prayer Breakfast. The former Vice President of Liberia, Her Excellency Dewey Taylor, said to focus on their mandate and those in leadership positions should use their voice to speak out. The Women Breakfast is a platform to reflect on the gains, pains, share experiences and challenges, and forge a way forward to resolve them. The Speaker of Parliament, Annette Anita Among, expressed the need for leaders to protect the family values that are written in the Bible through making laws that are good for humanity. Keynote address, Apostle Issa Igeneba, the founder, mentor of Deborah Global Ministries, urged women legislators not to pass laws that legalize abortion. The 9th Women Forum Prayer Breakfast was held under the theme, "If the foundations are destroyed, what can the religious do?"
Now moving on, Israel has held ceremonies to remember the victims of the mass killings carried out by Hamas on the 7th of October 2023 against a backdrop of continuing fighting in the Gaza Strip and Lebanon. A year on from the attack that saw some 1,200 people killed and 251 taken hostage, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to stop such an assault happening again, saying Israel's armed forces were changing the security reality of the region. Since 7th October, nearly people have been killed during Israel's offensive in Gaza, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. As the day of commemorations unfolded, Israel said it had intercepted more than 100 rockets fired by Hezbollah in Lebanon, as well as projectiles launched by Yemen's Houthis and from Hamas in Gaza. Last October, gunmen from Hamas in Gaza broke through the border fence and rampaged through nearly villages, kibbutzim, military posts, and a Nova Music festival. Now in other news, Hurricane Milton has rapidly intensified into a Category 5 storm as it tears its way towards the U.S. Gulf Coast. The U.S. National Hurricane Center has updated. Ferocious winds of up to 175 meters per hour, which is about 281 kilometers per hour, have been as Milton heads towards Florida, where it is expected to make landfall on Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, this according to the National Hurricane Center. Floridians have been told to prepare for the state's largest evacuation effort in years, with Governor Ron DeSantis warning that time for people to evacuate is quickly running out. We have to assume this is going to be a monster, Governor Ron DeSantis said at a press conference on Monday afternoon. Milton come just 10 days after Hurricane Helen, the deadliest mainland storm since Katrina in 2005, pummeled the U.S. Southeast, killing at least 225 people. Hundreds more are missing. At least 14 of those deaths were in Florida, where 51 of 67 counties are now under emergency warnings as Milton approaches. Now lastly, Ethiopia's parliament has approved the appointment of a new president to replace the country's first female head of state, Sahle Work Zewde. Taye Astike Serasi, foreign minister since February, has taken up the largely ceremonial role. In Ethiopia, political power lies with the prime minister, currently Abiy Ahmed. Sahle Work had reportedly fallen out with Abiy in recent years. The Prime Minister's backing of her initial appointment in 2018 was hailed as a break of equality in Ethiopian politics. On Saturday, Sahle Work posted a brief and somewhat cryptic message on X, implying she was unhappy as a result of staying silent for the past year. Sources close to the 74-year-old told BBC Amharic she had not been happy for some time and was eagerly awaiting the end of her term due later this month. During her presidency, she made several calls for peace across the country, though she was talking more about the gender-based violence during the 2-year civil war in Tigray. But it is believed she was concerned about the current conflicts in Oromia and Amhara regions. Well, that does it for our news. Now let's have a look at the press review.
Now with the press review, we start with the New Vision on matters to do with the Katanga case. The sister reveals these last words. Court told tycoon abandon the car. And also read about Kazimba, the Kazimba Cup kicking off. There is a pictorial of Bishop Kazimba Mugalu at the front page. That is Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu as he was trying to kick the ball there. And then also in the special section, distraught father writes to president over daughter. And in matters crime, conspiracy theories emerge in fuel station manager's murder. Also, CNN to promote Pearl of Africa, that is in matters. And then in business, over 1,000 women get 18 billion shillings in GROW project. And then off to the Daily Monitor, poor are living longer while the rich are dying younger. Interesting report. The irony of life, the analysis of two separate reports from Uganda Bureau of Statistics and another from the World Bank shows that people in regions with high poverty rates live longer than those in areas with lower poverty rates and better access to social services. It can be a story, can be a reason for us to, to be grateful. Now, elsewhere, how regions are ranked on life expectancy and poverty rate, you get to realize that the northern region, 39.9% multidimensional poverty rate, and then the national life expectancy average is now at 68. Now in the eastern region, 41.7% is the multidimensional poverty rate, and in the central region, multidimensional poverty rate is standing at 15%, and in the western region, the multidimensional dimensional poverty rate is at 26.6%. Then family of maid who died in Saudi Arabia has been awarded 50 million Ugandan shillings. And independence, how Uganda missed the turn, according to Birigwa. Then how a woman has lived with breast cancer for 24 years. Find that and more in the Daily Monitor, as also in the Rainbow magazine, Nabagerika graces Lake Victoria celebrations. Then in the Daily Nation in Kenya, politics, the embattled deputy president requires 117 members of parliament to block the motion, while 233 votes will be required to send him to Senate for trial. This is my defense. Angwa looks to brother's will to poke holes into bid to kick him out. Then curse of the deputies, troubles of former Vice President Josephat Karanja, the man in a hurry. Now revealed, the deputy president's legal team, the case against the deputy president. And then Karua also reveals that President and DP should both leave, not only the deputy. Now, in the D-Day, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua last night laid out his case before Kenyans, poking holes in the charges that have been brought against him in the impeachment motion that is currently before the National Assembly. The Deputy President will hope that the latest move sway members of Parliament who are today expected to vote on the ouster bid to his side in the fight for his political career. Then the SHIF mess, state moves to ease wars. And in controversies revealed, the overseas jobs firms that the CS Mutua left out of his list of shame. And then in the new order, Wajir Abdullahi takes over from Waiguru as new governor's boss. And then also troubled life of former under 20 800 meters champ. That report is also with the Daily Nation. And that does it for our press review this morning.
Well, thank you, Jerome. Now, I have a question for both of you gentlemen. Why would it be that the poor in this country are living longer than people that have more money and access to social services?
Acceptancy. You know, when you do not have a lot of money, you accept your fate and God to make sure that he caters for you. and you know, you survive certain things. You're not going to be dying. You know, there's an analogy on the streets that when someone becomes too rich, the kind of sicknesses they also get
rich people's
sicknesses. But when you're a broke person, you're getting simple malaria, flu. But jokes aside, this report is really ironic, I should say.
Very ironic. Robert, what's your say?
The rich are dying of lifestyle diseases because a poor man a day can walk about 4-5 miles. It's healthy for them.
Yes.
A rich person, you drive from your house, you come to your AC room, then from there you go eat the other type of meat, drink, what. So yet the poor, they're exercising, they're eating healthy, by the way. Those people, they just pick their green vegetables, they're eating healthy, they're exercising intentionally. They're not aware that they're doing this. Yet the rich are dying of things like diabetes, hypertension, out of obesity and all these. So the poor are living a healthy life in their poverty, not intending it, yet the rich are living reckless lives. The rich are dying of accidents, they are driving and cruising.
No, many people are dying of accidents,
yes,
Robert.
But if you look at average,
and they are not rich
leave alone
people.
those, a man who rides a bicycle, when is that person going to get an accident?
Well, Robert, we will continue this conversation off air, but it is concerning that people with the most access to social services are not living long, and yet people that are ravaged by poverty are actually the ones that are living longer. We need to look at this deeply and see what the stark difference is. But later on, I would like for you to stick around, because in our sports segment, we will be speaking to Justus Mugisha, who is FUFA's first vice president, and we'll be talking about the game that is going to happen between Uganda and South Sudan. So stick around at around 8:30 for this conversation. For now, this is with Maya. We'll be right back. All right, now, Robert, I would like to know what you have for us in the news.
Well, this morning, let me begin with preparations for tomorrow, where for years, this is what Ugandans have been witnessing, from salutes with guns tightened to the parade marchers west to one where it ends to end with the chest. From the goose march, where the soldiers are sharply pointed next to the parade mark, to one where it is pointed to the sky with the gun next to the chest. This has often been viewed in both slow and quick march past. Such is what has often identified Uganda People's Defense Forces, the police force, prisons and other armed forces as unique, disciplined and smart. This kind of arrangement is becoming a thing for the past. Armed forces led by the UPDF have introduced a new parade formation as Uganda celebrates 60 years of independence. As soon as the parade guards and the band form up, they are marched into the parade grounds. As the rehearsals commence, one of the most visible things here is the change from the usual SAR parade gun with sharp-pointed bayonets to the new improved AK-47. The swinging of hands, as has been the case with the previous parades, has been minimized in this new formation. This is not all. The goose march with legs in the sky has equally been changed. It will begin from formation to dressing to the march past, all the way to the salutes. The Ministry of Internal Affairs has officially taken over the functions of the Non-Governmental Organizations, that is NGO Bureau, following the recent Rationalization Act passed by Parliament. Out of the original 42 staff members retained under the new structure, the Ministry of Internal Affairs has dissolved the Non-Government Organization Bureau as part of a rationalization move. At least 30 former employees of the Bureau have lost jobs following internal interviews conducted by the Ministry of Public Service. The Bureau is now a department in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, headed by a senior commissioner. In the meantime, police have updated on the murder of the fuel station employee whose body was dumped along the northern bypass. Meanwhile, traffic police have intensified operations against border riders to address road crashes caused by reckless riding. Women leaders from different sectors of government, members of parliament, civil society converged at Speak Resort Munyonyo to participate in this year's 9th Women Forum of the 26th National Prayer Breakfast. The former Vice President of Liberia, Her Excellency
Independence Day is observed as a national holiday in a country. Uganda became an independent sovereign state on 9th October 1962.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.
This event holds an important position in the history of Uganda as it marks the country's freedom to self-rule from its colonial masters. Uganda and the people have made significant strides in 62 years, like improvement in economic growth, education, agriculture, peace, prosperity and political stability. This year's 62nd celebrations will be held under the theme Independence Day, a recommitment to secure and fortify our destiny. Join us on Wednesday 9th October 2024 at Busiko Teachers Demonstration Primary School Grounds, Masafu Town Council, Busia District, as we relay the celebrations live on UBC TV. Inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't go low.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It's time for our newsreel, and it is 3 minutes past 7 o'clock. I'm Olive Monica Najoma, together with Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono and Jerome Paul Sonko. Chirabo, why are you acting like a politician?
He's happy with the Daily Monitor report.
Not about the report. Why am I acting like a politician? Because yesterday something funny happened. We were having an electing a leader of something very small, but Ramani injected money, and I was asking myself, what is in voting?
Commercialization of politics. But we'll get into that, Chirabo.
So I learned now to position myself as a politician wherever I am.
Wherever you are.
I'm practicing.
Anyway, today we are having a conversation regarding still our education sector. You see, a policy by the government to have teachers having a degree as a minimum requirement is apparently sending many of them into early retirement. Well, in 2019, government introduced a transformative teacher policy, which among other things phased out lower qualifications for teachers. And according to this policy, all teachers, including those at nursery and primary levels, are mandated to hold a bachelor's degree. And as per policy, teachers were given a 10-year ultimatum to elevate their qualifications to the required minimum standard or else leave the profession. Now, regarding this, reports now indicate that more and more teachers are seeking early retirement because some of them have not upgraded. Others are seeing no reason why they should upgrade. But also there is the controversial increment of teachers' salaries, where science teachers were given a salary increment and arts teachers were not. Now you find schools in between a rock and a hard place, where the head teacher is an arts teacher and is earning less than a normal ordinary teacher in the school. And this has actually also brought upon different problems in different school administrations, where teachers are now not encouraged. They feel demoralized to actually attend classes and do the teaching. At the end of the day, when the elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And in this case, the grass are the pupils, the grass are the students that depend on these teachers for knowledge. So what's the way forward? That's the conversation we are having. And you can join us through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Now, Robert, coming to you first of all, with everything that happened, there was the COVID-19 pandemic that also sent many teachers out of the teaching profession. Now we have more and more teachers seeking early retirement, and there are different reasons. Some, it is the unequal pay; others, it is the little pay; others, it is the qualifications, to mention but a few.
Sometimes even I run out of words when you're discussing the plight of teachers in this country. Because all of us, let's be realistic, we went through hands of teachers. And there's that particular one or two teachers that are so dear to you because either how they helped you through school or how they were devoted to their work. I want to believe teaching is one of the oldest professions, because even our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, was a teacher. And sometimes I'm tempted to ask, is it ministry? Like, you know, when you become a priest, a catechist, a reverend, you may not look at pay so much because you're serving the Lord. Not so. Though today things have changed, men of God are very wealthy. But previously, if you went into ministry, you know you've come to serve the Lord. Now, teaching is not ministry. Teaching is a profession that must be paid. Now, when you want to professionalize a profession, the pay should also be in tandem. Teachers in this country get a very humble salary. Now, out of this humble salary, when the policy came out, is that they should get from that humble salary someone living a hand to mouth, you know, hand to mouth, to save part of that and attain a degree in a period of 10 years. Remember, COVID made that disruption, but also even the academic institutions. I was discussing with the Honorable Joseph Sewungu, and he said one time a sister in Villa Maria, that is in Masaka, Olive knows some of these places. Sister said, we hear of this policy, now I need to take these nuns to do a degree. And we didn't have universities that offer a degree in nursery teaching. Now, among the courses offered, there wasn't where you could get a bachelor's in nursery teaching. So, were they then to be flown out of the country? Now, this is the challenge, that they are between, we have a plan, but even under this policy, the Teachers' National Council that was supposed to be formed is not yet there in place. And to understand very clearly, I said, professionalism, if you want to professionalize a sector, also the pay should be professional. We commend government for the science teachers rise in pay. That is a step in the right direction. Of course, it's not so sweet when we see that their counterparts are not at that level. But we must also understand that where there is an investment, there must be reason to reap.
Reason to reap.
Reason to reap.
Yes.
Now here the reason to reap is not being seen.
Okay.
That's why a teacher would opt to retire early, get their benefits, invest in something else. No wonder I'm giving reasons like, I want to retire and go and look after my parents. Something that you can't understand. But at the back of the thing, there is this policy. So professionalism that requires investment, but there is no value for investment. No business person goes for that.
All right. Now, Jerome, according to this report, it is mainly teachers in rural areas that are seeking early retirement, one, due to this policy. So one would wonder, how has a policy that is supposed to enhance education services in the country how it has now become a detriment to the lives of teachers, especially those in rural areas, case in point in Busoga?
Well, from the same bit of the policy is that you also get to realize that this policy, if passed into Parliament and becomes law, they will have 10 years for them to get into, for example, to get back to school. That is for those who are not holding bachelor's or higher qualifications, to get into school and get more money. But then, in regards to the policy itself, you've got to ask how many of the teachers then can afford to apply and, let's say, upgrade in education. Very few, because not so many of those have actually worked long enough to earn the money. But
and even those that have worked long enough, do they have the money to go back and upgrade?
Well, they might have the money to go back and upgrade, but they will come to think of, if I go back and upgrade, I can still use this money in my retirement. Now, especially those in rural areas. And then, interestingly, Olive, there was a report by the Daily Monitor last month where they revealed that head teachers and their deputies there are some deputies and head teachers who are applying for demotion. Why? Because when you look at the salary structures, for example, the science teachers earning 4 million gross, and then a head teacher earning 2.3 million Ugandan shillings of gross. That is the gross salary. And then you look at the deputy earning 1.7 million gross. Now, many of them looked at this particular amount of money and they're like, okay, I think the best way is for me to apply for demotion so that I go back to just teaching without having these positions, so that I earn as much as the science teachers are earning. And like you've alluded to at the start of your introduction, that you realize that some of the head teachers are saying, if I'm a science head teacher, now I'm just a head teacher. It doesn't look good on me if someone who's just teaching is earning more than me who is heading the school, for example.
And heading, we know that comes with a set of responsibilities.
Exactly. Comes with a set of responsibility, and of course there is a way people look at you and they're like, you must be the person who earns more.
Yes.
So when you look at this particular report, many of the reasons behind the early retirement goes back to the bit of the money and value that you've been in the teaching profession, because let's face it, most of our teachers are still in the profession today. Even those that taught us in primary, some of them are still in the profession. Now, there are those who have been lucky enough, to get placed in other institutions of learning, or who have upgraded and have, got a bigger paycheck at the end of the day. But many of them have actually got the bigger pay in private institutions. That is how they've been earning and fetching some good money. Now, when you look at the early retirement, putting it into context, the people in rural areas, there's a huge gap there. Not so many of them have the chance to, let's say, go and teach in private institutions. If they are to teach in a private institution, you will either find he dodged a lesson
at the government
institution, and then we will have these concerns, all these conversations that why are we having teacher absenteeism at the end of the day? Or there will be a delay in salary, because at times you realize when you're working for the public service, salary might delay. It never fails to come, but that
can be delayed.
So when it delays, as a teacher, you have a family to look after. You're going to start worrying about, okay, now, what next for myself? Do I go and focus on my businesses as I wait for the salary to come? Because once it comes, it's the motivation for me to keep moving into class. So which is something that not so many of these teachers are happy with, because now if at all your source of income is also giving you less money, you're now looking at the future, because at times you will stop doing things for passion as now supposed to survive on top of it. It's your passion, yes, but what are you gaining from it?
Really deep questions here. Now, Robert, according to this 2019 policy, it is supposed to elevate our education system, all right? But one would wonder, and I want to ask you a question, is a degree requirement the most effective way to improve the quality of Uganda's education?
No. No. I must say no. It is important, it is very relevant, because someone has a broader knowledge of doing things. But to improve Uganda's education, it's not that the teachers we have lack qualifications to disseminate the right information. It is a pile of so many things.
Like?
Even if you got all teachers in Uganda today, and they are degree holders,
yes,
but they are teaching under the same, I bet performance won't change. Look, let's first of all understand the types of teachers we have. We have those in rural areas. Brethren, if you've traveled in this country, if you've seen some schools, we are talking about those, government has made tremendous improvements, no doubt about it. But you're talking about those that still teach under trees. Those that still teach, P1 is this side, P2 is this side in the same room. Those, recently one of the stations ran, I think, a story of a school in Toroko, where the headmaster's office is then the bedroom of the deputy, you know? Yes. And the man was saying at night, crocodiles, so we watch that together. Crocodiles come, then there is this. And now, if you're talking about such a teacher, if you're talking of a teacher who in a class is having 100 students, and he's one teacher.
That is even a small number.
A small number.
In some cases you
then important. Creates exposure, it creates, but important. Creates exposure, it creates, but things that compel you to deliver. Why do you think urban schools are doing better than rural schools? Why? Because levels of poverty differ. Levels of exposure differ. Salaries paid to teachers in urban centers are much better than those in rural areas in the private sector. So we should look at, actually, if I were me, I wouldn't front a degree.
Okay.
If I were me, I wouldn't front a degree. I would front supervision. That is one. I would front welfare of teachers. I would front what a teacher needs to disseminate information. I've gone to some places. I was in northern Uganda for a month under NUSAF too. But I would meet certain teachers, and so much needs to be desired in this profession. They will tell you how sometimes there are salary delays, which Sonk has talked about. There are housing conditions. Leave alone Kampala. Let's not look at a Kampala teacher. Let's go from villages we come from and look at this teacher. The person you meet a teacher even affording a reasonable shoe. You know, trousers, you know that way of shining. The shirt, they have to put a hanky. So a person in this status, and I want to give you an example. I've seen so many private schools that are doing very well, not because they have degree teachers, but because there is supervision and they're equipped. Second, government owns no nursery school, isn't it? And most of these nursery teachers are that group we are talking about, because for them you finished, it used to be you finish senior 4, you go to TTC, you know, you do your certificate, you come out as a nursery teacher. If you can, you do a diploma, then you come on upgrading. Now, most of these, their employer is the private sector. And the private sector education, government's fingers are very slippery in this area. These are teachers who today, Sonko Nursery School employs that teacher. pays the first 3 months salary, then the next salary Sonko becomes a problem. The teacher maybe even stops teaching, then another one comes in, then maybe Sonko, after sensing that this was a good teacher, parents are complaining, calls back Olivia. This is the drama we are talking about. And that's what we are saying should upgrade. I believe there are other things we can start with that are key, and this should come at the tail end. We are putting the horse, we are putting the cart before the horse.
The cart before the horse.
At the end of the day, we do not get the best results.
Now, look, speaking about salaries, teachers in Uganda earn between 382,237 shillings and to up to a tune of about 1.7 million shillings. That is net per month. And there are others that are earning around 576,000 to about 2.7 million. So when you look at these salaries, you will find that majority of the teachers are actually at the lowest end of the stick. Those are the ones that are earning below 500,000. And for any person in any job, if you're going to earn, let's say 300,000 for 10 years, with the moral, no, basically, will you have the what's the word? The encouragement, for lack of a better word, to actually do your job to the best of your ability? That's a question for you to ponder on. But Sonko, let's look at possible solutions. This teacher problem and their pay and all the other circumstances surrounding how they do their work. Chirabo was good to mention that some teachers are teaching children that are hungry. Some headmasters are running schools that do not have even scholastic materials or enough of those. Others do not even have the right infrastructure. So looking at all these problems, it's a lot. How does the government come in? Because the most affected here are government schools.
Sadly, my thoughts are going to come in from the side of the first question you asked about the pay. Someone earning 300,000, for example, for 10 years. When you look at our salary structures, by the way, it cuts across, not only even in the public service. You realize that even in the private sector, it's worsening. That I think the employers have not yet, put themselves in the shoes of their employees in a way that if you were paying the same amount of money to a new entrant 10 years ago, you cannot be paying that same money today.
Because the cost of living has changed.
It has changed. The cost of doing business has also changed. If in 2010 I could get a double, or let's say a self-contained house at, let's say, 400,000 Ugandan shillings, I'm not getting it anywhere today.
True.
250,000 will get you maybe a single room if you're talking about the suburbs in Kampala. Now, it's after you go away at the outskirts of Kampala where you get a double. And
yet, 350,000 10 years ago could get you a two-bedroom house.
A two-bedroom house. Now, on top of that, you're picturing yourself in a situation where you're earning 300,000 Ugandan shillings. You are a parent. You have children.
When you got the job, you were a single person. 10 years later, you're married. You're now married.
Children. You're earning the same money, and then the cost of living, the kilo of sugar, let's say, now bread is shooting up to 6,000 Ugandan shillings. Then it was about 3,500. Things are changing. Fuel is also now, heat is already at 5,000, though it's now dropping a bit. You do realize that the issue of the structures, of the salary structures, is something that is eating us as a country or as a nation. Sadly, the legislators are not having some of these things as centers of discussion today.
Do you think because they live in glass houses, they have their life well,
True.
They are earning well, they're the best paid government workers in the country, so they forget about their people?
It is, because many of the Ugandans today are yearning to join politics because they know it is a bed of roses. That so once
it's
you
no
are,
longer to serve country.
there are very few who are now serving the country, very few. And even those who go with the intentions of serving end up turning around. Because in Parliament, they are getting some of these allowances. Now, for example, you know, there are those who are, because most of the members of Parliament, none of them will be happy to take their child to, let's say, a rural setting school, you know, a rural school, even when the school is up to the standard. Because now they are members of Parliament, they want to be known for a certain
their
thing.
Class dictates that their children go to international
that is
schools.
how
Not
the world,
even the nice private schools, by
yes,
the way, international
and
schools.
that is how the world operates. When you're into you know, a certain class, you also want to deal with people of a certain class. Meaning you're forgetting about the other people who are also yearning to be just like you, not in regards to political spaces, but as well as in regards to the way of life. So I think we need to start from the policies we make. Now, for example, that teachers are supposed to have a degree to their qualifications. That is to streamline how education runs and to ensure that the quality of students we are getting is up there with the standards of, you know, of what we want on the job market. Now, when it comes to
quality teacher,
exactly,
ensures good quality students.
educations and
don't forget,
but then
the teacher must be motivated.
The teacher must be motivated. The allowances
to deliver that.
Which look at how they dress. Robert has been giving examples of how the teachers dress and show up, especially those in rural areas. Very worrying, because you do not expect a teacher to be wearing the same outfit that they've been wearing for, let's say, the past 2 years, whereby students
even
are making fun. We've all been there where we make fun of a teacher and we are saying the other one with the bigger trouser, and that is the way we are attached to him. Where you see him, you know he has arrived. So I think we need to go back to the policy making. We've got to look into the salary structures of the teachers, the bit of the motivation, because now everything is all about the money. Make sure you have some insurance for them, health insurance, for example. These schemes are very possible if at all we are very intentional as a country.
Now, well, Chirabo, just a minute. I have comments coming in, and this one is from Simon from Boshenyi, and he says this is to inform you that not only the arts deputies and teachers are earning less than the science teachers, but even the science deputies and head teachers, yet they even continue to teach. And Robert, this one is Robert, his former teacher. He says, my former student, Robert, it's a very touchy and big topic about teachers. That range of payment is a big problem, and I will discuss, but it's too much to a teacher. This is Mr. Williams. He says he's your former teacher.
Former teacher at Nakasero Primary School.
Yes, and then this one says about how schools, I beg your pardon, he says, some teachers want to do their own developments when still strong instead of waiting when worn out. The pay is not attractive, yet teachers have no rights but responsibilities, and also no benefits but work. I think benefits here like insurance, like Jerome was putting it. Then he says degrees, not the ones teaching. Teachers should be taken slowly. Maybe government pays them for them to upgrade. Other teachers in Toro earn about 100,000 and not promptly. No housing, no transport allowance, and some are even in private schools. Government has not employed many teachers since 1998. These are even about to retire without being ever. So he says basically some are about to retire without never being formally employed by the government. And yes, someone says private schools are now paying high wages than government schools. And Ahire Wycliffe says in Chotera, low payment is there compared to the work done. Robert, you had something to say, and I'll take those as your last remarks.
First, I want to urge government that we need to be very, very careful. We are stepping on clay. We need to be very careful. First, under this proposal, we were supposed to have we were supposed to enact what they called the Teachers Council and the Ugandan National Institute of Teachers Education to be in place now. For this move, unless government is going to come up with a fund for teachers to borrow, go and study, then maybe do deductions later on. But what we are going to see, more people are going to retire from this profession. What we are going to see, government schools will lack the teachers, whereas the private schools will be having these teachers, because this is what is going to happen. Monitoring and supervision has remained a challenge. So if teachers don't have room in government schools, the private schools will welcome them. And you're going to go and arrest them for teaching without. At the end of the day,
a degree,
you're going to be hindering and suffocating the child of the poor as that of the rich continues to excel.
And that's very worrying, because government schools take on the majority of learners in the country. When you look at the percentage of learners in privately owned schools and government schools, you will find that in government schools, where most of the teachers are seeking early retirement due to many factors that have been raised. We'll continue this conversation online. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, Irene Allen Namisango is here to give us the tourism updates.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Hungry for truth, a world where every story matters. There exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shape illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and set future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda. Independence Day is observed as a national holiday in a country. Uganda became an independent sovereign state on 9th October 1962.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.
This event holds an important position in the history of Uganda, as it marks the country's freedom to self-rule from its colonial masters. Uganda and the people have made significant strides in 62 years, like improvement in economic growth, education, agriculture, peace, prosperity, and political stability. This year's 62nd celebrations will be held under the theme Independence Day, a recommitment to secure and fortify our destiny. Join us on Wednesday, 9th October 2024 at Busiko Teachers Demonstration Primary School grounds, Masafu Town Council, Busia District, as we relay the celebrations live on You Inspiring Uganda.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It's now time for the GME Tourism Express. My name is Irene Alena Misango, and this the diverse opportunities that we have in Uganda's tourism for both locals and regional tourists, investors, tour operators, hoteliers, and everyone who could be interested in the tourism sector. This is the time for you to always tune in so that you get to know what is really happening in the tourism sector of the country. We talk about the trends, the events, activities, hotels, anything that you would need to know about Uganda's tourism. We are your go-to channel for anything. Well, Uganda Wildlife Authority is organizing the Open Park Days. And yesterday we had Mr. Masaba coming in to elaborate more about the Open Park Days. And these Open Park Days will be hosted on the 17th and 18th of October this very year. So we have like a week to go. These days are going to be free to all Ugandans, East Africans, and foreign residents. People will be freely accessing the national parks, will be freely having game drives in these national parks. So I feel it is an exciting opportunity that is giving Ugandans a chance to enjoy wildlife, the beautiful sceneries that we have in the national parks. However, we know that the tourism sector in the country is led or is governed by the public sector, but it is the private sector that is really driving this industry. So there are the people that are really doing a push the tourism sector. Today with me in the studios, I'm joined with Mr. Ibrahim Kayondo, the CEO of Trip Addicts, one of the people that have really pushed for domestic tourism. And when such campaigns come in that are promoting domestic tourism, it is just important for us to have people that are really on ground and their view and how they think that we can utilize or leverage on such days to promote more or to entice more Ugandans to explore Uganda. Ibrahim, good morning.
Good morning, Irene.
How are you this morning?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
And thank you for having me on UBC.
Yeah, it is nice to have you again. It is always interesting to interact with you about domestic tourism.
Sure.
That I'm very sure you're very passionate about it.
Very.
And now with the Open Park Days, before Uganda Wildlife Authority brought them, this is a conversation that you always had on eggs.
True, true.
Talking about it, that we need to have like Open Park Days.
Yes.
And now they're here. How are you and also other tour operators that are majorizing into domestic tourism, how are you going to leverage on such days to entice more Ugandans and also make more business for yourselves?
Well, first of all, I would like to commend Uganda Wildlife Authority for bringing up such an initiative. It's something we have been advocating for some time. We had Kenya do it last year for Nairobi National Park, and
even this year, actually.
Yeah, even this year, and the numbers were tremendous. So we are looking at growing the numbers as far as Ugandans are concerned, visiting these destinations, and such an initiative gives us the courage, gives us the power that every time we talk about certain things, they listen. So first of all, a person like this came up, I had to think out of the box. I had to tap into it as a domestic tour operator. I had to bring up certain packages for different national parks, mostly for people living in Kampala. Because if you look at Kampala, we have a population of about 4 to 5 million people living in and around Kampala. So how much can these, you don't need the 5 million at a go, but how many more can we tap into this opportunity? The same as Mbarara. If you look at Lake Mburo, it's in the Onde. So those are the people that are supposed to appreciate more Lake Mburo being in such an area. So I think Uganda Wildlife Authority, with time, they need to bring on board people who have been doing domestic tourism for such campaigns to flourish, because first of all, they feel they're appreciated. When you bring them on the same table with you guys and you're like, we have this initiative, we have this idea, because I myself, I visited the offices last year, talked to Paul, he's in charge of sales at Uganda Wildlife Authority, and we were still talking about the same issue, and here it is that they have put it in place. So I encourage younger domestic tour operators and the old ones to tap into this opportunity by bringing up packages, then also partnering with hotels, lodges around the parks, because there are people who are going to do 3 days. There are people who are going to do 2 days. So they need to find partnerships, collaborations with accommodation facilities.
Ibra, how do you think these open park days are going to promote domestic tourism?
Well, I'll be frank, anything to do with free, as it is, Ugandans will always come through, trust me. But the whole problem is now the information. How much information has reached the ground? How many people know about such days?
Yeah.
Or if only people on X get to know, we are good. Even the information outlay. Last time I was watching a certain TV station, and they showed that all parks will be accessible, will be free, but which is not true. Someone in Kisoro will reach Mugahinga National Park and they are being told, no, we said the Savannah parks. So the information outlet is also very important. You can't just say all parks will be free. You need to be very articulate when it comes to tourism.
How do you think Uganda Wildlife Authority should partner with the private sector to see that they push more or they get the best out of these days?
Yeah, true. That's a very wonderful question. Like I said, when an initiative comes around and it's targeting domestic tourism, you need to do research. You need to know, because they know how many people have been doing, or how many tour companies or personalities that have been pushing domestic tourism. It's not only about companies, personalities, influencers that have specifically been pushing for domestic tourism. So when such campaigns come around, you need to look for such people, because there are campaigns that target inbound. You can't be on, I can't be on an inbound campaign, however much I've done inbound. But I'm not so experienced. I'm not so much versed when it comes to inbound. But when it comes to domestic tourism, I know the creativity needed to pull the numbers. I really know what is needed actually to pull the numbers, because I've done this for now almost 10 years.
Okay, now Ibra, having communities on board, because you know when you say that now people in Mbarara need to appreciate more of Lake Mboro National Park because it is in their region, they need to know the benefits. How do you think they're going to benefit in these open park days?
When you look at open park days, first of all, you have to look at the numbers. These are people who will spend from the word go. The moment, because an example like mine, the moment I leave Kampala, I'll take a full tank of fuel. I've started giving back to the community. When I reach about Nsanga, I'll make a stopover for a meal for my people. Let's say there are 100 people that have taken me personally. That means I'm giving back to the community. So the community will have the urge for this day. And one thing I can also, ask of is to make such days, maybe one of them on a national calendar, circle it on a national calendar, have it as a public holiday. Because when you look at Ugandans, they work from Monday actually to Saturday. So if you put open park days on a Thursday and a Friday, you're limiting. The limitation is there. And also it is being put in third term. If you look, this is a very, very, very critical term for school-going kids. That means you've cut a lot of them off. Because I've actually been conversing with my primary school head teacher, and he gave me I would say an excuse. You know what, we're in third term, kids have to concentrate, we have PLE. So UWA should look into that, shift the days maybe to the tourism month, which is September, or even earlier in the first terms, because you can't only be looking at old people. Old people have what to do. They have work. But if you focus more on school-going kids, we have almost 9 million.
Yesterday we had Mr. Masaba. And he was talking about the scheduling of these days in October. He said this is just the first edition, but they're planning to have these dates included in the tourism month. That is September, and you know the calendar comes out like way earlier, like in April. So that means maybe people will have enough time to know that maybe on every 18th and 17th of September, we have open park days. So people start planning maybe right away from the start of the year.
That work, but that still shows how much they were in a rush. I don't know for what exactly, but that shows you that.
But it is good enough to start.
If the initiative comes around and you only have 3 weeks to communicate the message to the masses, that means you're limiting. You're in a rush. Yes, it's good to start, but don't start in a rush. because when you start in a rush, you may crash.
Okay, Ibra, going forward now, how do
Yeah.
you think the tourism industry can leverage on these days to promote a long-term interest of
Yeah.
Ugandans into the national parks?
Yeah, that's a very good initiative, or question rather. What I was trying to say is, if you circle these days, one of them actually as a public holiday, trust me, you've people who are working with corporate companies, government institutions, will have time actually to visit these parks. So we need to have one of these days on a national calendar or as a public holiday. Yes. Then consistency. Let's not have it for 1 year, because we have seen initiatives that come around for 1 year and the next year the institutions, you're trying to ask them what happened, they're telling you this, money budget, but let's have it as a consistency activity. But I would like to job, a very nice initiative.
That is nice. I also commend Uganda Wildlife Authority. Now, Ibra, for a Ugandan who is viewing, or even East African regional traveler, they need to know what unique experiences and beauties are they going to experience in these parks.
Well, each park has its own unique experience.
Yeah.
When you look at the nature walks in Lake Mburo, breathtaking, those pictures, those memories, those moments. When you look at Makshon and wow, the falls. When you look at Queen Elizabeth, you have highest chances of seeing these lions. When you look at Kidepo, the nature is overwhelming. Much I haven't seen packages for Kidepo, but if you look at such, each park has its own unique experience. But what I would like to encourage is Ugandans, you fuel that small car, have 5 of your friends, visit any park. I think if you use like a wish, because whenever you reach at the gate, a wish is not commendable for a game drive, but reach at the gate, because from what Uwa said, the moment you reach at the gate, they will give you, they will provide you with a vehicle for a game drive. I don't know whether they are going to use their buses, which I also don't commend to be used, because they're not fit enough for game drives.
But with the numbers, which are the
overlanders. We get money from people. We got money from Sedu. They would have bought more overlanders for such days.
Ibrahim, you're cutting shots to the people viewing us.
Well, my last punching shots is I'd like to say thank you to Uwa. That was a very great initiative to encourage fellow Ugandans, East Africans to come through for open park days. There are 2 days. So if you fail on a Thursday, you can still catch up on a Friday. So I'd like to encourage all of us, if you can still put up a package, let's say people, it's not about companies. If you're working in an arcade, a mall, and bring up, encourage your fellow traders, that on Friday, let's visit Lake Mburo. So that's where everyone is. Let's start from, even here at UBC, let someone start it, have fellow employees or workers, visit Lake Mburo, visit Makshon. On a 1 day, it's doable. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibra. It was a beautiful interaction with you, and I'm very sure Ugandan who has been watching out there has been our conversation with Ibra. But I will still also commend Ugandans. This is a very exciting opportunity for each one of us to go into these national parks. For a very long time, Ugandans want to explore Uganda, go to these beautiful national parks, but they don't even have the opportunities to go there. Or sometimes they feel like it is expensive, but now tour companies are putting up packages that are 80,000 to go to Queen Elizabeth National Park. So please, let's embrace these opportunities and go explore the Pearl of Africa. My name is Erin Alena Misango, and catch you tomorrow.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Independence Day served as a national holiday in a country. Uganda became an independent sovereign state on 9th October 1962.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.
This event holds an important position in the history of Uganda as it marks the country's freedom to self-rule from its colonial masters. Uganda and the people have made significant strides in 62 years, like improvement in economic growth, agriculture, peace, prosperity and political stability. This year's 62nd celebrations will be held under the theme Independence Day, a recommitment to secure and fortify our destiny. Join us on Wednesday 9th October 2024 at Busiko Teachers Demonstration Primary School grounds, Masafu Town, as we relay the celebrations live on UBC TV. Inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and good to have your company here on Good Morning Uganda. I am Joram Paul Sonko and it's time for us to get into the world of business. Tomorrow Uganda will be celebrating 62 years of her independence. 6.2 decades since we got our independence, and of course there has been various strides in regards to development and in regards to the economy of the country. That said, you got to realize that many sectors of the country have been evolving over the years, and today our focus turns on to debt collection, because this is one of the sectors that has been having tremendous changes over the years, from the way debt collectors used to look out for those that are defaulted back in the time to how they do it today. Now, of course, we had a sit down with Mr. Nicholas Clever of Smart Skills, and of course we wanted to understand how debt collection has evolved over the years as Uganda marks independence, but also to understand the challenges that the debt collectors are facing in the country currently. Check this out.
Nicholas, a director at Smart Skills, and I'm glad to be here on this platform. Smart Skills is a debt collection firm. We aid or help businesses keep afloat. We resist corrupts just because those who took their products and services actually don't pay back, and at the end of it all you find they are struggling and they end up failing to stay afloat. So Smart Skills is there to offer businesses and individuals that support to correct their debt. We correct your debt so that you concentrate on your core business. Debt collection was initially rudimentary. It was rudimentary. Whenever they told you that the debt collector was looking for you, you'd run for your life, for your dear life. But now it has, quite a number of professionals have come into this space, and it is no longer that scary. It is, for example, banks, after maintaining their clientele, they don't harass people. It's basically a way they are now using debt collectors to just help them recover their debt rather than chase away their clients. So it is no longer as it used to be. The people who used to do it are now more committed. We have got the lawyers in this space. We've got educated people, graduates in this space. So we have responsible people who are real in this space. It is no longer by those who have not gone to school as it used to be. No, this time around it is right. And two, debt collectors are necessarily the court bailiffs, where a court has said go and pick so and so, and for them they have no option but to pick you and take you to court. No. Debt collectors are not court bailiffs. The court bailiffs only correct debt that is sanctioned by court only. But the debt collectors, businesses can hire debt collectors, banks hire debt collectors, circles hire debt collectors, companies and factories hire debt collectors. So they are not necessarily the other group that have got to do it, because they are directed by court. So over the years, debt collection has evolved, and it is no longer scary as it used to be. But now you can discuss with the debt collector. The debt collector can say, please, how do I help? I mean, how do you help me in this? And they are willing to help. So we have taken strides in the debt collection industry in Uganda. Though of course, we still have a lot still desired. We need to, the debt collection industry is not yet so much organized, but so far we've taken good steps. We lack proper registration in this industry. While court bailiffs have an association that governs them, the Uganda Court Bailiff Association, the debt collectors, we do not have a body that regulates us, other than the local authority, which in Kampala, it's KCCA, that regulates, that licenses us. So there is that issue of registration that is still lacking, that we should push to see that the debt collection industry and auctioneering industry is properly legislated. I wish all Ugandans, our clients, and all debt collectors out there a happy Independence celebration on Wednesday.
Well, Wednesday it is the Independence Day celebrations here in Uganda, and that the celebrations will be held in Busia. Of course, when it comes to the regulations, you get to realize that as also feel that they need a strict regulatory system that will enable them to smoothly run their duties. But of course, with time, you get to realize that over the years, post-independence, that is one of the sectors within Uganda's economy that has also been evolving steadily and, of course, showing more years of progress as we go by. Now, that said, away from that, we now turn our focus onto the Bank of Uganda report. The Bank of Uganda improved inflation has prompted the central bank to reduce the central bank rate, or the CBR, by 25 basis points. Now, although the reduction is good news to the financial sector and the economy at large, the inflation outlook is prone to risks, according to Michael Atig Ego, who is the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank. The Bank of Uganda Monetary Policy Committee has reduced the central bank rate by 25 basis points from 10 to 92% due to an improved inflation outlook. And over the 12-month to the month of September 2024, annual headline and core inflation average was 3.2%. Now, notably, inflation declined in September 2024, driven by lower oil prices and reduced fuel prices. However, the inflation outlook is prone to risks, according to the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank. Well, that does it for our business updates there, the 8th of October. More updates will come along tomorrow on Independence Day. Stick around to Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, and this is time for our traffic updates. I'm Olive Monica Najima, and we are starting right at Makerehi Road, where Nakulabye and Sa Apolakagwa cross through each other. Now, following the Makerere Hill Road, let's see how you can get to Wandegea. And what I see is that right after the lights at the Full Gospel Junction, you're going to encounter a bit of traffic jam that is going to take you up until the Makerere University main gate. I see that Gaddafi Road is also bringing in some bit of traffic jam, and also Sepiria Mukasa Road. Now going
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the